number 1-800 Red Cross, 1-800-733-2767. A couple of legal steps we've taken here at the state level: our state of emergency, price gouging prohibition. Heard about one potential example of price gouging yesterday. Asked them to call the Attorney General's office, which has the statutory power to take action. Pharmaceuticals, we sign an EO that gives pharmacies the authority to do emergency refills and to temporarily operate pharmacies in locations that they otherwise couldn't. Talk to a pharmacist in Letcher County, in that neighborhood, who had, a harrowing escape. They were pulled out on that jet ski that is still going to work to fill prescriptions, because think about what people need right now, whether it's their dialysis or others, insulin, and they didn't have power, they don't have internet, they're filling things out, but they're there to help their people. We've also waived weight limit and hour limits for trucks coming in, bringing supplies. We've suspended the UI work search and 7-day waiting period requirements so people can get help early. Out-of-state electricians' licenses and 14-day grace period for electric inspections. That's get houses up and running, HVAC's working. We created the Team Eastern Kentucky Flood Relief Fund, and I'm now working to waive fees on replacing driver's license and permits and fees for replacing car registrations and titles. People are going to have to get all of that again. Donations to the Team Kentucky Flood Relief Fund. This is the Team Eastern Kentucky Fund. It's the only fund I know of that's going to be fully transparent, subject to open records, under legislative oversight, and has pledged 100% of the funds to help these families with no administrative costs. 12,035 donations, a little over $1.5 million. All right, a couple things that we're going to do to show compassion, to honor those that are lost, and to recognize the struggle that people are going through. First, I'm directing all flags at all state office buildings being lowered to half staff for 1 week in honor of the Kentuckians who are lost or who have been impacted by the flooding events in Eastern Kentucky. Flags at state office buildings should be lowered to half staff beginning at sunrise tomorrow, Tuesday, August 2nd, and remain so until sundown on Monday, August 8th. I encourage businesses, individuals, and organizations throughout Kentucky to do the same. Let's make sure we're recognizing the loss that our people have been through. And the other is bringing back a way that we showed compassion to those suffering during COVID. So I'll be lighting the Capitol Dome to the extent you can see it through the repairs, and certainly the mansion green, the color of compassion, just like we did in COVID, but this time to show compassion for those lost during this devastating flood and for those who are cleaning up. So for everybody who still has those lights, I ask you to put them up for the people of Kentucky that have been through something absolutely indescribable. Let them know that you're thinking about them, you're praying for them, and maybe that family that's in your area with their relatives that's hurting sees your light out there and knows that people care. Finally, Brittany and I are canceling our official trip to Israel. While that is a bucket list type of thing, I cannot be overseas while the people of Eastern Kentucky are suffering. And we're still going to be in a critical stage over the coming weeks. I promised people yesterday I was going to be there for them. Today, tomorrow, and the coming weeks, and I'm going to keep that promise. In fact, today, I'm going to be continuing to keep a promise to the people of Western Kentucky. First, checking in on the city of Marion, which hadn't had enough rain, and look at what's happened in the state. But making sure that we are making progress on solving their water crisis. I'm going to be in Mayfield, 7 months of keeping promises, and we're going to continue to keep promises to the people of that area. I hope that is a testament to the people of Eastern Kentucky about what we are going to do to stand with you. Going to be in contact with the Emergency Operations Center all day. Going to receive an in-person briefing. When I get back from the West, we will be back in Eastern Kentucky this week. We aren't going anywhere. We're going to repair every life, every structure, every town. We'll open it up for questions. We have one journalist with us. Carolina, if you want to start us out.
Yeah, Governor, have there been certain areas that rescue crews still have not been able to access? And can you just give us a general update on how search and rescue is going?
Search and rescue is continuing, though different. Certainly, we were able to get to places by vehicle yesterday. Now, one challenge we have is those folks that say live on the other side of a major creek and have lost their bridge, don't have a way to get over. And we're working on that right now. What are some temporary bridging? We can call out, we can see that they are okay, but short of airlifting them over, we've got some people that are stuck. And they're not stuck because of the water, they're stuck because of physically getting to them. There's a couple of areas that yesterday we were airlifting water to because we still couldn't safely get there. A whole lot of what we're doing right now is searching for people. You know, as I was in Knott County, we went by a group that's out looking for bodies and had one of the dogs out. We passed a house in Letcher County where someone was concerned there was somebody lost upstairs that hadn't been located yet. But we are still actively in the search and rescue. And part of that is identifying people that are reported missing and finding them as well. I anticipate that we will continue with that for at least the next couple days, though we're certainly working on the emergency housing at the same time. You know, in many ways, we have our first phase overlapping with our second phase right now. Tom Latek, Kentucky Today.
Thank you, Governor, and good morning. Two questions for you. First of all, how many National Guard troops are now active and working over there? And secondly, given this large loss of life, I can recall that when the Com Air plane crashed in Lexington, they had to bring in refrigerated trucks to serve as temporary morgues. Has the state had to do anything along this line, or are the local coroners able to handle it?
So we have over 300 National Guard active right now. Their mission's going to change a lot more to supplies, search and rescue, augmenting police, traffic, debris removal. They're really good at it, and our Guard has been amazing. I got a chance to spend just a moment with our Guard that had been airlifting people, and they were exhausted, but they were living their mission, and they were ready to go again at a moment's notice. We are so proud of them, the state police, Fish and Wildlife, local law enforcement, and Kentucky State Police, and individual citizens who've rescued more people than all those others, I think, combined. These are neighbors, not just helping neighbors, but saving their lives. We are proud of all of them. What we've had to do is fly the bodies here to Frankfurt to have enough staff to perform the autopsies. We do have a refrigerator truck being used right now because we didn't have enough morgue capacity. So yes, that happened here in Kentucky. Stan Ingold from WEKU.
Thank you, Governor. I also have two questions. The first, you mentioned the high temperatures that are coming later this week, and you mentioned the setup of cooling stations. What progress is being made on getting those set up, and what will those provide? And my second question is that, much of Eastern Kentucky was in the red for community spread for COVID. I know the priority is to get people safe and get them housed, but is there any concern with COVID with these shelters where people are going to be in place?
I'll start with the second one. Yes. And so our goal is to move people from congregate shelters. That's where a whole bunch of people are in a gym, to individual rooms, for instance, at a state park or at a motel. We had to do the exact same thing in the aftermath of the tornadoes at a time when there was also real spread. But you're absolutely right on the priority. Number one, we get them safe and we get them stable. And then we try to get them in the best position possible to prevent that spread. DPH is also providing tests, masks, vaccines. We still have for anybody who wants or needs them. Let me get an update on cooling centers. I will say power is getting back up faster than we had anticipated. We have a whole lot of the counties that have 500, 150 total service connections. That's, you use that in water, but these could be homes, businesses, et cetera, that do have power. That means that they're going to be in better shape. And most areas have at least a location, schools or others that are up and running that could serve as cooling stations. I think it's very likely that the areas being used to distribute goods and or provide shelters, which I think all of our shelters now have power, will also be able to double for that. But we're dealing with rain again today. But heat's coming, and we got to be prepared for it. John Cheeves, Herald Leader.
Thank you, Governor. So we've got several hundred people right now displaced, but staying at state resort parks or in Red Cross shelters. You touched on this a little bit about bringing in trailers from Western Kentucky, but what is the plan going forward, say over the next week, 2 weeks, to make sure that everyone keeps a roof over their head, especially in an area that, as you know, didn't have enough housing to begin with, even in the best of times?
Yeah, so our goal is to get everybody stable. And first, to make sure we know where everybody is, we got a roof over their head and we can feed them. And then it's to get them in a more stable, intermediate housing type situation. Now, what always happens in Kentucky is relatives and others reach out and take people in. And that has always been, even when we're working on all the other options, the number one way that we take care of each other in Kentucky. Now, we ordered 200 trailers for Western Kentucky, which we believed we easily needed, given the number of people out there. But relatives and friends said, come on in, we'll take care of you as long as you need. And that's happening right now. I kept asking people yesterday, you got a place to stay? My brother, my sister, friends down the street, they were looking at other people saying, we're going to be neighbors for the next couple months. But certainly the travel trailers are going to be a really big piece of it. And looking at all the different housing options, but you were right. Fewer housing options than most disasters face. That was the case in the West because the other towns with housing options are so far away. But it's going to be a really important challenge to make sure we don't lose towns. That's very possible in the situation we face. We cannot let that happen. About 100 travel trailers are ultimately going to come from the west to the east. That's before any type of FEMA work as well. A huge issue, though, is going to be that most of these folks don't have flood insurance. It's too expensive. So even if they get the maximum from FEMA, we're going to have a real challenge on the costs of rebuilding. Did have a good conversation with President Stivers, multiple senators and representatives today. I do think they stand ready to help to create something that can at least help cities, counties, and utilities like we did in Western Kentucky. We're just trying to get through the search and the rescue phase so we have a clear idea of what's needed. We're going to have much higher costs for the school systems. I mean, there's one school that's not going to be usable at least for this year if the structure can be saved. There are a lot more that are going to have millions of dollars of immediate repairs to get up and going. Talked to two amazing superintendents. Talked to three amazing superintendents throughout the day that are already working hard. And what I said is, you do what you got to do. We will find you the money. We're going to have to get kids that don't have a stable roof over their head in school as quickly as we can and give them the wraparound services that they need. Debbie Yetter? This says maybe.
Yeah, it's Debbie. Good morning, Governor.
Okay.
You mentioned the damage to the school systems and the work that's going to need to be done. With school about to start, will it be possible for schools in the region to start on time? And if so, how and where?
So if you think about these counties, I think at least two, if not three, are going to have to delay the start of school. Certainly Letcher, Knott, and Perry have been hit hard. That doesn't mean that they're not going to have a plan to start school. But I mean, looking at Knott, the number of schools hit, if they can do it, it's going to be a pretty incredible feat. But again, they're working hard. They already have the cleanup crews that are out there. They have wasted no time knowing exactly how important this is, but I do expect that school could and probably will be delayed in some of these counties. So we're going to need to provide them similar relief than we did in the West to make sure they are not penalized for it in the way that you calculate the funding that they get, and that they have the funds to repair. But also, that's the best place to provide these kids the mental health services, the meals, the dental care, and everything else that they need. All right, that's today's update. We're likely to provide a couple written updates later in the day, maybe some video. Give us some prayers that the weather that we're seeing right now doesn't end up being too bad, that the wind doesn't knock down too much. Remember, these folks are going to need our help for the days, the weeks, the months, and the years to come. You can help by donating to the Team Eastern Kentucky Flood Relief Fund or other opportunities. Remember, water, cleaning supplies, household goods are things that people need. You can see areas to donate on our website. They don't need your used clothes. They need new stuff that can help them. God bless. These are amazing folks. They're hurting, but they're strong. And it's amazing to see how they're helping each other, even if they got nothing left. Thanks.